King Charles's brother has been placed under arrest. That is the big breaking news coming in right now. The formerly known as Prince Andrew, remember he's now known as Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. He has been placed under arrest, and this is after his ties with Epstein and also on charges of possibly passing on information to Jeffrey Epstein. That's the big breaking news now coming in. We're bringing you this breaking news right here on the show, right here from the news floor. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Now, what we know so far, the police say that King Charles's brother is in custody and officers are carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. In fact, the whole police statement says that it is on suspicion of passing off very sensitive documents at the time that he was working. Remember, he's no longer been a working royal for quite some time now. In fact, since the morning. Let's go across now to Ollie Barrett, who joins us live from London. And this is, extremely shocking and breaking news right now. What do we know so far? What is the grounds for the arrest of former Prince Andrew?
Well, the police won't set out all of the details in that regard at this point. What we have from police so far is a limited statement, which I can bring you now. And Thames Valley Police, this is the force that we're talking about here, because there are a number of police forces in the UK investigating various different claims and allegations around links to Jeffrey Epstein in different ways. But Thames Valley Police are the force that have made this arrest, and they say, as part of the investigation, we've arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion, they say, of misconduct in public office. And they say they're carrying out searches, as you were saying, at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. They confirm that that man remains in custody at this time. They say we will not be naming the arrested man, but we understand that it is indeed Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, who is 66 years old today. Chief Constable Oliver Wright saying, following a thorough assessment, we have now opened an investigation into this allegation of misconduct in public office. Now, that is significant because previously the police had been saying they were just assessing some of the claims that had been coming their way. They hadn't yet opened a formal investigation. Well, now they have done so, and they've also made an arrest. They say it's important we protect the integrity and the objectivity of our investigation. Now, the fact that Thames Valley Police are saying that the arrest relates to claims of misconduct in public office obviously leads us to believe that this is related to claims that when Andrew was a UK trade envoy at the start of the 2010 decade, that he potentially passed information to Jeffrey Epstein that he would only have had as part of his role as a UK trade envoy, and that potentially that would have meant that he had breached protocol and potentially broken the law in that way. And this has come from the latest release of Epstein documents, which appeared to show that transfer of some pieces of information towards Jeffrey Epstein from Prince Andrew at the time, that may, as I say, have broken rules. Prince Andrew, as he was formerly known, has always denied any wrongdoing with regards to his links to Jeffrey Epstein. But as I say, an arrest has been made at Sandringham, where Andrew has recently moved after effectively being thrown out of his previous residence at Royal Lodge in Windsor.
Right, and that action taken by King Charles, after Queen Elizabeth passed away. But do stay on with us, Ollie Barrett. Let's also go across to Shiv for more on this story. And Shiv, this is, unprecedented. I mean, the fact that formerly known as Prince Andrew, being arrested in this manner, but for some time there was a lot of public anger. Also, the information against him was growing. Most recently, in the latest Epstein files, were those horrible pictures that came out that showed him on all fours on the floor, and that was something that had really sent shockwaves. Also, King Charles removing him from the royal household, and where he was staying somewhere else now, as from where he's now being arrested. So it's really been quite the downfall for Queen Elizabeth's favorite child.
and it's many fans of the royals say it's a good thing she's no longer here to see this. But it's amazing, Gargi, how there is a huge section of the British press that now believes that the royals, including Elizabeth herself, were basically complicit by their acts of omission, perhaps even commission, of normalizing, protecting Prince Andrew. The mysterious multi-million pound settlement with Virginia Giuffre, the woman who he's got his arms wrapped around in that awful picture with Ghislaine Maxwell. All of these aspects remain unanswered, but all I can say is that Andrew's arrest now has been a long time coming. Most people are not going to say justice is finally served. They're going to say this should have happened 5-6 years ago. There was a bit of a turning point in around 2019 when the BBC did a famous and now infamous interview with Prince Andrew.
Which there's a movie actually based on it
now. That's right. It's an interview that's got millions of fresh views in light of those emails that you're referring to and the pictures that you're referring to right now, which show him indulge in the most breathtaking dishonesty. He lies about the most basic things. He fulminates about medical problems and not being able to sweat. He says he has no recollection of these photographs being taken. And it was an enormous public relations disaster for him. But it was also the point at which the royals realized that this is a man they're going to have to cut loose. And this was in 2019, Gargi. It has taken all these years later. Elizabeth II died in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. 4 years later, Andrew's been arrested. There is no doubt that there has been a very, very high degree of protection and a shield for him. He is a royal. Yes, of course, he was asked to move out of the royal lodgings and he was cut off from his allowances, etc. But he continues to remain a man of, considerable resources. He's still able to travel the world. There are no restrictions on his freedom. Now he's been arrested. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Right, and let's go back to Ollie for more on this entire story. And Ollie, interestingly, this comes at a time that the Prime Minister is also facing heat, in a sense, over the Epstein files, given what has been revealed in the files on his choice as the US ambassador, isn't it?
That's right, and there are all sorts of ways in which the latest tranche of Epstein documents have led to all sorts of questions and investigations around the British establishment here in the UK. There are actually several police forces now investigating various different elements to all of this. And in terms of Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, he not only faces questions about his judgment in appointing Peter Mandelson to be US ambassador, given his links to Jeffrey Epstein, he's also been facing ongoing questions about Prince Andrew. Indeed, it was earlier this morning that Keir Starmer had some fresh comments published about Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. He was being asked whether he thought Andrew should testify in the United States if he was asked to do so, and whether police should be talking to Andrew. On the latter question, Keir Starmer said that the question of whether Andrew should talk to police or not was a matter for the police, and of course we've had significant developments on that now since those comments from Keir Starmer. But he did say that he believed that Andrew should appear to testify in the United States if he had information to share with American authorities, and stressing that he believes that anyone who has any information related to Jeffrey Epstein and his conduct and allegations around criminal activity should talk to authorities and impart whatever information they have. Of course, a lot has changed just in the intervening period since Keir Starmer made those comments, but he will also continue to face as Prime Minister questions now about Andrew and indeed about the role of the royal family, and whether we should be hearing more often from King Charles, for example, on this topic, from Prince William as well. I suspect that now that an arrest has been made, that often what we'll hear from government ministers and the Prime Minister himself in the days ahead is that they believe that this is now a matter that should be handled by the police.
All right, thanks so much, Ollie, for joining us with all those details. So that is the big breaking news, the impact of, the Epstein files. Now, finally, in England, former Prince Andrew has been arrested. He is the brother of King Charles. And remember, this comes on suspicion that he may have passed on some files to Jeffrey Epstein at the time that he was the trade envoy. That is what we are hearing, that this goes back to 2010 when he was holding a charge. But remember, he was stripped of the royal title by Queen Elizabeth herself. In fact, that was a step that she had taken. And then after her death, there were no attempts to in any way rehabilitate him. In fact, he was kicked out of the royal residence as well, and he was staying in Sandringham. So former Prince Andrew arrested from his temporary home on suspicion of misconduct in public office. This is according to the reports, because remember, so far as we were speaking to Ollie there, the police have not confirmed that it is Andrew indeed. It's Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor who has been arrested. So that itself is not so far confirmed, but it is known that he has been arrested, and this is a huge step now in this scandal that has been, shadowing the royal family for several years now. As we said, it was during Queen Elizabeth's time itself that he was stripped of his royal titles. Well, let's go across now, and I'm joined by my colleague Disha now for more. And finally, as we said, this is a scandal that has been chasing the royal family for quite some time. It happened, and Queen Elizabeth finally took that step of stripping Andrew of his royal titles. Now King Charles asked him to vacate the royal premises, but clearly not enough. And now finally, and there's been a lot of public anger over this, and finally Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor has been arrested.
Absolutely, Gargi. So the main part of this is the fact that right now, after a lot of pressure from firstly this anti-royal group as well as the US Congress in fact has been pushing the UK government to tell Prince Andrew to come in, basically testify in front of US Congress regarding his links to Epstein. But this particular arrest is regarding his ties with Epstein and passing of information when he was the trade envoy of UK to US, and he was passing on information allegedly to Epstein. And now this is really an unprecedented moment in UK politics, given the fact that in recent history, a former royal has never been arrested, and that too the brother of King Charles. This is like, he's one of the senior royals in the family, or at least he was until he was stripped off of his title. But what this really means now is even his homes are being currently raided and being searched. But will he get bail? Will he now being forced to testify in front of Congress? These are all these big questions that now remain.
Interestingly, while there's been a lot of horror over what went on Epstein Island, what was his relationship with the various women that he has been photographed with girls, with minors as well. We do know there was that out-of-court settlement in 2022, and even now this arrest is to do with, as you said, the leaking of trade secrets, of some sort of secret documents to Jeffrey Epstein. The scandal is on one side, but this now it seems that this is what they've managed to catch him on.
Absolutely. So this is essentially leaking information. So this is a different charge from all the other charges that they were linking Prince Andrew to, which were related to sexual assault and his alleged links on Epstein Island. But this has to do with direct espionage, in a sense of sharing secrets, government secrets with Epstein. Now, what were those government secrets? That remains to be seen. That has not been revealed. But even the police statement was quite carefully worded. They did not name Prince Andrew, which was interesting, because they've essentially said that we're not going to name who we've arrested, but it's clearly indicating that it was Prince Andrew. We still don't even have visuals of the arrest. A lot of news media organizations are currently trying to find the visuals of Prince Andrew being arrested, because that's how unprecedented of a moment this is. Because, as I mentioned, a senior royal has never been arrested. Even though he's now been stripped of his title, he's still the brother of King Charles. And now it's really yet to be seen what happens next for Prince Andrew, because remember, it's also his 66th birthday today, so it's quite a surprise for him.
Irony that he's arrested on his birthday. And the way this is now handled by the royal family is going to be watched very closely by all, because this whole issue of accountability and of them being untouchable, in a sense that they're so elite there that they cannot be touched, but now finally facing some action with the arrest of Andrew.
UK really setting the precedent that nobody is untouchable. Everyone has to stand in front of the law and no one's untouchable, because even UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said that no one is untouchable in front of the law. Everyone must face justice. Even King Charles saying that he stands to support the police in this probe regarding his brother's allegations and his ties to Epstein. So the British government as well as UK overall, the royal family, making it very clear that they don't stand or back Prince Andrew's allegations or charges in any way, but they want to support all investigation, whether it comes to passing on information or his links to Epstein Island and to Jeffrey Epstein overall.
No, absolutely, Disha. And also interestingly, it comes at a time when Prime Minister Keir Starmer himself has been facing a lot of heat over his appointment of Peter Mandelson as the US ambassador, and Peter Mandelson's links to Jeffrey Epstein, and there have been in fact demands for him also to step down, which he said he will not.
Yeah, absolutely. So now the question really becomes what happens next, because we've been seeing a lot of such actions being taken in Europe, across Europe, but now will US President Trump also face this kind of pressure back home is again a big question, because if a former royal can be arrested, the brother of a king in the UK, can American, not just US President Trump, but other American ministers, whether it comes to the trade, commerce secretary and others who have also been openly having links with Jeffrey Epstein, will they also face any kind of action? That is a big question. But this definitely also comes at a time when, as you mentioned, Keir Starmer was facing a lot of pressure when it comes to his appointment of Peter Mandelson, but also from US President Trump, because let's just look at the timing. Today was a day when US President also put out a post on Truth Social where he, slammed the UK Prime Minister over his Chagos Island deal, all of that. So is this also in a sense of Keir Starmer trying to deviate attention by getting this arrest? A lot of speculation happening.
That is something that I'm sure even in the UK media it is being discussed. But let's take our viewers through this entire controversy. Andrew's links with Jeffrey Epstein, well known. He was friends with Ghislaine Maxwell. That also was admitted in that interview he did to BBC. There was an out-of-court settlement with one of the alleged victims, and he never spoke. He always denied any wrongdoing, but there was this massive out-of-court settlement in 2022, I think. And but Queen Elizabeth finally taking that decision to strip him of his royal titles, which was in itself very unprecedented. And after King Charles came, he made no effort whatsoever to rehabilitate him. In fact, removed him from the royal
estates as well.
So take us through all these developments that have taken place. As we said, that shadow was there throughout, even though he kept denying, and there was an out-of-court settlement.
Right. So since King Charles came to power, there was a lot of speculation about what would happen to Prince Andrew, because he's his brother. Many thought that King Charles would, give him some leeway and sort of cover this up. But King Charles went the other way, chose to really make it very clear that he doesn't stand behind Prince Andrew when it comes to these allegations and his links to Jeffrey Epstein. As you mentioned, just a couple of months ago is when Prince Andrew officially vacated the royal cottages and was now staying in Sandringham. And that's where he was arrested today on his 66th birthday. But as I was mentioning, he has been facing a lot of backlash over the past couple of months, especially pressure from the United States as well as back home in the UK, because in the US, as I was mentioning, they want him to testify in front of Congress, talk about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, what really happened on Epstein Island, as well as now the allegation of sharing trade secrets, government secrets of the UK to the US.
Stay on with us. Let's just go across. We're joined by a guest, Ian Pelham, a Turner, Royal Family Watcher, joining us for more on this entire story. Ian, what can you share with us so far? It's been, quite dramatic developments with the arrest of the former Prince Andrew.
Absolutely. It's been a complete shock this morning. Nobody was expecting this. And on his 66th birthday as well, what a birthday surprise for him at the same time. So allegedly what happened at 8 o'clock this morning, unmarked police cars entered Wood Farm to actually arrest Andrew. And they have been making investigations now at both in Sandringham and also back in Berkshire as well, in Windsor. And so I think, the reality at the moment is that this is just all sinking in to what's happening right now. It's rolling news, it's breaking news as we speak. And the reality is that with all the different opinions that have been voiced about Andrew in the past few weeks, I never totally expected to actually see what's been happening today. Neither has the British public.
There has been, however, a lot of anger against Andrew, isn't it? Especially with the latest tranche of the Epstein files, which were released with the kind of photographs, very unsavory, showing Andrew on his, all fours on the ground with some woman passed out, on the floor as well. But what we are learning is that the reason for this arrest is actually to do with leaking of documents at the time that he was a trade envoy. If you could tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's the inappropriate action of an official is what he's being looked at and investigated by at the moment. Basically, what may have happened, and as I say, at this stage, it's all allegations, as you will understand.
Yes.
That in reality, he was going to an events across the world, and then a few minutes after receiving the papers from these discussions, was then passing them on to Epstein. Now, this is just an allegation that's been widely spread at the moment. So all we can say on this is that legally, this is what they are looking at. And if the Thames Valley Police have felt there's enough evidence to actually at least create an arrest warrant in the first place, then there must be a lot of information coming out now, especially from the Epstein files, over what's happening. But I also think at the same time, the reality at the moment is that the royal family are fed up really with Andrew and all the antics that have been going on. And who knows what may have been passed on to the Thames Valley Police behind the scenes to actually appropriate this arrest this morning.
And tell us, what happens next after an arrest like this takes place? Also, what kind of reactions? As you said, everybody's waking up to this news. It's shocking. It was spoken of that whether this could happen, but nobody, I think, really expected it to happen, or at least happen so soon.
Absolutely right. No one expected this, least alone myself. I've been saying for some time now, because there's been huge rumours that Andrew is actually going to write a kiss and tell book to get his own back on the royal family, and also following his nephew Harry's spare book to make a new fortune for himself. But there's all sorts of allegations going on, because one of the other things that I work with American channels a lot, and they've been hearing that allegedly, again, Andrews has got business interests right across the world. And that in reality, he's coming across as this poor former prince, but in reality, he could be worth a fortune at the same time. Basically, at the moment as well, obviously, it's watching what might happen to Sarah Ferguson. Apparently, she is in the Middle East right now, and that may be negotiating a deal with Abu Dhabi to actually go to this new palace that's being created, apparently for Andrew, if he so wishes to. If that happened, and if that had happened, this may be another reason why they've had to go for an arrest warrant, because if that happened, it's very difficult to extricate Andrew from the Middle East in the first place.
Right, and just very briefly, Ian, if you could just tell our viewers how unprecedented this development has been.
I've never known anything like it in my life, to actually see a former prince, someone who was renowned for his war service, now in a public dock being prosecuted, is something that has never been seen before in my lifetime. And I've been a journalist 60 years now.
All right, Ian Pelham-Turner, thank you so much for joining us here on NDTV. And that is the big breaking news coming out from the United Kingdom. The arrest of Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, and a brother of King Charles, has been arrested on charges of passing on documents to Jeffrey Epstein.